Does this sound familiar? It is 3 a.m., and once again you are up making your pilgrimage to the bathroom. It is not the first time tonight. Maybe the second, maybe the third. Each trip in the dark feels longer than it should. Your sleep is broken, your body is drained. And the next morning, instead of waking refreshed, you stumble into the day feeling heavy, foggy, and tired. Meanwhile, your partner is still sound asleep. You wonder quietly, why me? Is this just aging? Many people believe it is. They accept the idea that getting up multiple times a night is just part of growing older. They resign themselves to fatigue, to the fear of stumbling in the dark hallway, and to the belief that they will never sleep through the night again. But let me tell you something clear. It does not have to be this way. Meet the expert. I am Dr. Linda Matthews. I am a board-certified urologist with over 25 years of clinical experience. For decades, I have listened to stories from men and women over 60. People who came into my office are exhausted, frustrated, and sometimes hopeless. They all had the same quiet complaint. Doctor, I just cannot sleep through the night. I keep getting up to go to the bathroom. Thousands of patients, thousands of stories. And here is what I learned. This nightly disruption is not always just age. It is a sign. It is a message from your body. And if you learn how to respond, you can reclaim your nights and your energy. Today, I want to share a method that has changed the lives of many of my patients. A strategy not about how much water you drink, but about when and how you drink it. A strategy that helps calm the bladder, reduce nighttime trips, and restore restful sleep. It is so simple, so logical, that when you hear it you will likely say, "Why did no one tell me this before?" The scope of the problem. Before I explain the method, I want you to understand just how big this problem really is. Did you know that nearly 70% of adults over 60 wake up at least once a night to urinate? For many, it is 2, 3, or even more times. The medical name for this is nocturia. But let me be clear, just because it is common does not mean it is normal. Nocturia is more than an annoyance. It is a warning signal. Real-life impact. In my practice, I met Harold, a 72-year-old grandfather from Dallas. He loved fishing at the lake every Saturday morning. But his hands started shaking from sheer fatigue after nights of broken sleep. His hobby, his joy, slowly slipped away. I met Evelyn, a 68-year-old retired teacher. She woke up 3 to 4 times every night. One evening, she tripped on a rug in her hallway and fractured her hip. That one accident cost her independence for months. These are not rare stories. They are everyday realities for countless older adults. Why it matters. Every bathroom trip in the night is more than a nuisance. It carries real dangers. Falls in the dark. When you are half asleep, your balance is poor. One slip, one misstep, and you could face a serious injury. For an older adult, a hip fracture can change life forever. Cognitive decline. Deep sleep is not optional. It is when the brain consolidates memories, clears out toxins, and repairs itself. Interrupted sleep means your brain does not get the cleanup it needs. The result: brain fog, memory slips, and over time, a higher risk of dementia. Stress on the heart. Each time you wake suddenly, stress hormones surge. Your blood pressure spikes. Your heart rate jumps. Repeated over months and years, this pattern puts strain on your cardiovascular system. Emotional toll. Chronic fatigue steals joy. It makes you irritable, anxious, even depressed. You stop doing what you love. You stop feeling like yourself.
This is why I call nocturia a thief. It steals your nights. It steals your days. It steals pieces of your life. A silent epidemic. Yet most people suffer in silence. They rarely bring it up at family dinners. They do not want to bother their doctor. They tell themselves it is just aging. But when I look at the research, and when I look into the eyes of my patients, I see the truth. This is not a small issue. It is a silent epidemic. And it is growing. The turning point. Here is the hopeful part. Once you understand why this happens and how to counter it, you can begin to take control. I am not offering a pill. I am not offering a complicated regimen. What I am offering is a method, backed by science and refined by real-life experience, that helps countless older adults finally sleep through the night again. So stay with me. Because in the next part, we will explore exactly why your nights are disrupted, the myths that keep you stuck, and the proven hydration strategy that could change your nights, and your life. The hidden dangers of nighttime bathroom trips. We often treat nighttime bathroom trips as harmless. Just part of aging. Something to joke about with friends. But when you look closely, you see the damage runs much deeper. A silent epidemic. Medical studies show that more than 60% of adults over 60 wake up at least once every night to urinate. Nearly 1 in 3 older adults wake up 2 or 3 times or more. This is not just a statistic. This is millions of people living with broken sleep every single night. And the consequences ripple through every part of life. Danger number 1, falls and fractures. Picture this. It is 2 a.m. You are half asleep. You shuffle down the hallway, eyes barely open, balance unsteady. One wrong step. A rug, a loose shoe, a dark stair. Suddenly, you are on the floor. For younger people, a fall may mean a bruise. For older adults, it can mean a hip fracture, a broken wrist, or a head injury. And here is the truth, many never fully recover. Research shows that a hip fracture in later life often marks the beginning of rapid decline. I think of George, a 70-year-old patient of mine. One fall in the dark bathroom, one broken hip, and his independence was gone for months. He needed help to walk, to cook, even to get out of bed. All because of one nightly trip. Danger number 2, the brain fog effect. We underestimate the power of deep sleep. During the night, your brain does its housekeeping. It consolidates memories, clears out waste proteins, and resets for the next day. But when your sleep is fragmented, up and down, that housekeeping is cut short. The result? Foggy mornings. Trouble focusing. Names slipping away. And over the years, a higher risk of serious cognitive decline. Evelyn, a 68-year-old retired teacher, told me she felt like her brain was underwater. She thought she was developing early dementia. But in reality, she was simply starved of deep, continuous sleep. Danger number 3, strain on the heart. Every sudden wake-up shocks the body. Your stress hormones surge. Your blood pressure jumps. Your heart races. Now imagine that happening 2, 3, 4 times a night, every night, for years. It is no surprise that studies connect severe nocturia with higher risks of hypertension, heart disease, and even stroke. Your heart is not just tired. It is overworked. And the cost builds silently. Danger number 4, the emotional toll. Let us not forget the emotional side. Sleep is not just rest for the body. It is restoration for the soul. Without it, joy fades. Chronic fatigue makes you irritable. It makes you anxious. It can drag you toward depression. You stop wanting to meet friends. You say no to family outings. You spend your days in survival mode instead of truly living. I once sat with Margaret, a 75-year-old widow. She told me, with tears in her eyes, I do not feel like myself anymore. I feel like a shadow. Her nights of broken sleep had stolen her spark. Why this is not just aging. Here is the dangerous belief, this is just age. Nothing can be done. That belief is the real trap. Yes, the body changes as we grow older. But constant nighttime bathroom trips are not an unavoidable destiny. They are a signal, an alarm bell from your body saying, pay attention. And the good news? Once you understand why this happens, you can take back control. Looking ahead. In the next part, we will talk about exactly why the bladder and kidneys misbehave at night. We will clear away the myths, like drinking less water, blaming a small bladder, or using alcohol to help sleep. And then, step by step, I will show you the hydration strategy that has given countless older adults their nights back. Why it happens plus debunking myths. So why does this happen? Why does the bladder suddenly seem to have a mind of its own at night? The answer is not just getting old. The truth is more specific. And once you know it, you can fight back. Reason number 1, the hormone shift. When you were younger, your body made plenty of a hormone called antidiuretic hormone, or ADH. This hormone tells your kidneys to slow down urine production at night. It is like putting the brakes on the factory. But as you age, your body produces less ADH. Without those brakes, the kidney factory keeps running at full speed. That extra urine heads straight to the bladder, waking you up. Reason number 2, bladder capacity shrinks. Over time, the bladder itself can hold less. Muscle tone changes. Sensitivity increases. The result? Even smaller amounts of urine trigger the urge to go. It is not that your bladder disappeared. It is that its tolerance shrank. Reason number 3, fluid redistribution. Here is something few people realize. During the day, especially if you sit or stand for long hours, fluid collects in your legs and ankles. That swelling is not just cosmetic. It is trapped water. When you lie down at night, gravity no longer holds that fluid in your legs. It flows back into your bloodstream, through your kidneys, and into your bladder. That is why so many people wake up after only 2 or 3 hours in bed. The bladder suddenly fills with the day's leftover fluid. The myths that make it worse. Now that you know the real reasons, let us shatter the myths that keep people stuck. Myth number 1, drink less water. This is the most common mistake I hear. People think, if I drink less, I will pee less. Logical, right? But the body is not that simple. When you drink too little, your urine becomes concentrated, thick, almost acidic. This irritates the bladder wall, making it twitchy and overactive. Even when it is not full, the bladder sends urgent signals, go now. And then, when thirst finally drives you to drink in the late afternoon or evening, your body processes that water all at once, at night. So the cruel paradox is this: drinking less during the day often means peeing more at night. Myth number 2, I just have a small bladder. Many patients tell me this as if it explains everything. But in most cases, the bladder is not the real villain. The kidneys are. If your kidneys are producing urine non-stop at night because of low ADH or returning fluid from the legs, even the biggest bladder in the world would not save you. Blaming a small bladder is an excuse. It keeps people from addressing the real cause. Myth number 3, alcohol helps me sleep. This one is especially dangerous. Yes, alcohol may make you feel drowsy. But here is the problem: alcohol is a diuretic. It pushes your kidneys to make more urine. Even worse, alcohol suppresses ADH, the very hormone you need at night. That means double trouble. First, you are adding extra liquid. Second, you are turning off the brakes that would slow urine production. The result? A bladder that wakes you, often multiple times, in the second half of the night. And let us not forget, alcohol disrupts sleep quality even beyond the bladder. You wake lighter, more restless, less restored. Clearing the ground. By now, you can see why so many common-sense solutions backfire. Drinking less makes the bladder more irritable. Blaming the bladder hides the role of hormones and kidneys. Using alcohol sabotages both sleep and urine control. When you stop believing these myths, you clear the ground for real solutions. Looking ahead. Now that we have swept away the confusion, it is time to build something better. In the next part, I will share the strategy that has given countless older adults their nights back. It is called the ASIM method. Easy to remember. Easy to follow. And for many, life-changing. We will go step by step: how to adjust your hydration, when to cut off liquids, how to make water work for you instead of against you. Stay with me, because this could be the turning point you have been waiting for. The ASIM method, hydration strategy. Now that we have cleared away the myths, let us talk about what really works. In my practice, I teach patients a simple framework called the ASIM method. It is not a pill. It is not a gadget. It is a rhythm. A way of drinking water that works with your body instead of against it. ASIM is easy to remember: adjust, soften, stop, integrate, manage. Step 1, A. Adjust your hydration. Most people drink water at the wrong times. They sip a little in the morning, forget all afternoon, then gulp down glasses with dinner or late in the evening. This pattern sets you up for bathroom trips at night. The solution is to front-load your water intake. Drink the majority of your liquids earlier in the day. Here is the golden rule: try to consume about 75% of your daily fluids before 4 p.m. That means start your morning with 1 or 2 glasses of water as soon as you wake up. Keep a water bottle nearby throughout the morning. Sip steadily, not all at once. At lunch, enjoy another glass. By mid-afternoon, you should already be well hydrated. This gives your body plenty of time to process those liquids while you are upright and active. Step 2. Soften the transition. From 4 p.m. onward, begin to taper. Do not slam the brakes suddenly. That can make you feel dry and uncomfortable. Instead, land gently. If you are thirsty, take half a glass or just a few sips. At dinner, limit yourself to only what you need to swallow your food. Think of this as preparing the body for night mode. By slowly reducing intake, you signal your kidneys to slow production too. Step 3. Stop in time. This is the sacred rule. The one that makes or breaks the night. Create a 2-hour sacred zone before bedtime when you drink no liquids at all. If you sleep at 10 p.m., your last sip should be by 8 p.m. no exceptions. Why? Because your kidneys need that final window to clear what is left. If you drink within those 2 hours, your bladder will wake you in the middle of the night. If your mouth feels dry, rinse with water without swallowing. Or take a tiny sip, just enough to wet the tongue, not enough to trigger the kidneys. I cannot stress this enough: protecting this 2-hour sacred zone is the heart of the ASIM method. Step 4. Integrate electrolytes. Hydration is not just about water. It is about getting water into your cells. That is where electrolytes help. Here is a simple morning trick: add a pinch of unrefined sea salt and a squeeze of lemon to your first glass of water. The sodium helps water move into your cells. The potassium in lemon balances it out. This small adjustment makes your morning hydration more effective and reduces cravings later in the day. Step 5. Manage dinner. What you eat at night can sabotage your bladder. Avoid spicy or acidic foods that irritate the bladder lining. Avoid sugary or starchy meals that cause fluid shifts. Skip high-water foods like soups, cucumbers, or watermelon at dinner. Enjoy them earlier in the day. Eliminate caffeine, soda, and alcohol in the evening. Instead, build your dinner around lean protein and cooked vegetables. These keep blood sugar steady and are less likely to wake your bladder. A real story: Alice's transformation. Let me tell you about Alice, a 73-year-old retired librarian. Alice came to me exhausted. She was waking up 3 or 4 times each night. She had already tried cutting back on water, but that only made things worse. I walked her through the ASIM method. At first, she was skeptical. Drink more in the morning? That sounds backwards, she said. But she agreed to try. Within 1 week, Alice noticed she was sleeping longer stretches. By the 3rd week, she was sleeping 6 hours straight for the first time in years. She told me, "Doctor, I feel like I got a piece of my life back." Her secret was not luck. It was rhythm. The ASIM rhythm. Recap of the ASIM method. Let us pause and review. Adjust, front-load 75% of your water before 4 p.m. Soften, taper gently in the late afternoon. Stop, protect the 2-hour sacred zone before bed. Integrate, add a pinch of salt and lemon to your morning water. Manage, avoid bladder-triggering foods at dinner. Simple steps. Powerful results. The ASIM method is the foundation. But you can strengthen it with supporting techniques that make your bladder even calmer and your nights even smoother. In the next part, we will talk about those extra tools, practical tricks that patients love because they work. Together with ASIM, they create a complete protocol for peaceful, uninterrupted sleep. Support techniques that boost results. The ASIM method is the engine. But every engine runs better with the right support. Over the years, I have shared a few simple techniques with patients that turn good results into great results. These are not complicated. They are small habits. But together, they make a huge difference. Support technique number 1, double voiding. Many people do not fully empty their bladder before bed. They think they are done, but a small amount remains. That leftover urine can be enough to wake you up later. Here is a trick: practice double voiding. Go to the bathroom right before bed. Sit on the toilet, even men. Sitting relaxes the pelvic floor muscles. When you finish, do not get up immediately. Stay seated, breathe, and relax for 30 to 60 seconds. Then lean forward slightly and try again. Often, a little more comes out. And that little more can be the difference between sleeping through the night or waking at 3 a.m. I remember John, a 75-year-old veteran, who laughed when I suggested this. 2 weeks later he came back and said, "Doctor, you were right. That second round saved my nights." Support technique number 2, elevate your legs. Remember the fluid that pools in your ankles during the day? That fluid comes back to haunt you when you lie down. Here is how to beat it. In the evening, about 1 hour before bed, lie down with your legs elevated on a pillow or recliner. This gives gravity time to drain fluid from your legs before you go to sleep. That way, the bladder does not get hit with a flood in the middle of the night. Some patients also use gentle compression socks during the day. That prevents fluid buildup in the first place. It may sound simple, but the results are powerful. Support technique number 3, salt shaker control. Earlier, I mentioned adding a pinch of salt to your morning water. That is fine. But too much salt in your daily diet is a disaster for the bladder. Here is why: excess salt makes your body hold on to water. Then, later, your kidneys must work overtime to get rid of it. That means more urine, often at night. The worst offenders are processed foods, deli meats, canned soups, and restaurant meals loaded with hidden sodium. Cooking at home gives you control. Using herbs and spices instead of salt not only protects your bladder but also supports your heart and blood pressure. Support technique number 4, calming the bladder. Some foods and drinks are bladder irritants. They make the bladder twitchy, even when it is not full. The main culprits are caffeine, chocolate, citrus juices, artificial sweeteners, and carbonated drinks. For many patients, cutting these down reduces nighttime urges dramatically. Remember Susan, a 69-year-old retired nurse. She was convinced her nocturia was unfixable. But when she stopped drinking diet soda at dinner, her bathroom trips dropped from 3 to 1. Sometimes, the solution really is that simple. Support technique number 5, routine and rhythm. Your bladder loves routine. When you go to bed and wake up at the same times each day, your body adjusts. This includes your kidneys and bladder. Consistent schedules help regulate hormone release, fluid processing, and even sleep quality. Staying up late one night and going to bed early the next throws everything off. So, as much as possible, protect your bedtime and wake time. Your body will reward you with steadier nights. Putting it all together, when you combine the ASIM method with these support techniques, the results multiply. Double voiding ensures your bladder is empty. Leg elevation reduces fluid rebound. Salt control prevents overload. Cutting irritants calms the bladder. Routine strengthens the rhythm. Step by step, each layer makes your nights quieter, longer, more restorative. A patient's breakthrough. Let me share the story of Michael, a 71-year-old hobbyist woodworker. When he first came to me, he was waking up 5 times a night. He was frustrated, tired, and ready to give up. We started with the ASIM method. That alone reduced his trips to 3. Then he added double voiding. Down to 2. He elevated his legs before bed. Down to 1. Finally, he cut out his nightly chocolate dessert. For the first time in over a decade, he slept 7 hours straight. He told me, "Doctor, I feel like I got my life back." That is the power of layering the right habits. Results, expectations, and call to action. By now, you have the full picture. You understand the dangers of nocturia. You know the myths that make it worse. You have the ASIM method and the support techniques. But what does this mean for your life? What results can you expect? And how long will it take? The timeline of change. Here is what I have seen in patients again and again. Within the first 3 days, many notice fewer trips at night, sometimes dropping from 3 or 4 down to 2. Sleep feels deeper, even if still interrupted. Within 1 to 2 weeks, energy during the day improves. The fog begins to lift. Patients often say, "I feel like myself again." Within 1 month, most people see consistent improvement, sleeping 5 to 6 hours without interruption. Morning bathroom urgency is calmer. Within 2 to 3 months, for those who stay consistent, full nights of sleep, 7 or even 8 hours, become possible again. This is not magic. It is science plus habit. Real stories of transformation. Let me share a few examples. Margaret, 75. She started with 4 bathroom trips a night. After 1 month on ASIM, she was down to 1. She told me, "Doctor, I can finally visit my grandchildren without feeling like a zombie." Frank, 69. He was skeptical. But after adding double voiding and leg elevation, he called me and said, "I slept through the night for the first time in 15 years. Alice, 73. You already heard her story. She found peace in rhythm. What she discovered is true for many. It is not about drinking less, it is about drinking smarter. Why consistency matters. The body loves patterns. When you create steady hydration habits, your kidneys and bladder adjust. But if you skip steps, the old cycle returns. That is why I tell every patient, this is not a quick trick. This is a lifestyle rhythm. Once you make it part of your daily routine, it feels natural. And the reward, restful sleep, is priceless. The bigger picture. Think about what better sleep gives you. Clearer mornings. Stronger memory. A calmer heart. Safer nights without falls. More joy in your days. Nocturia does not just steal sleep. It steals vitality. And when you reclaim your nights, you reclaim your life. The call to action. So what can you do, starting tonight? Adjust your hydration. Drink more in the morning, less at night. Soften your intake after 4 p.m. Stop drinking during the 2-hour sacred zone before bed. Integrate a pinch of salt and lemon in your morning water. Manage your dinner to avoid bladder triggers. Support your body with double voiding, leg elevation, and self-control. Do this for 1 week. Then notice the difference. Do this for 1 month. Then notice the transformation. Your turn. I want you to take a moment right now. Think about last night. How many times did you get up? Write that number down. Or even better, share it in the comments. Not for me, but for you, and for the community. When you see others going through the same thing, you realize you are not alone. And when you post your progress later, you inspire someone else. Closing words. I will leave you with this story. Michael, the woodworker I mentioned earlier, told me something that stuck. After sleeping 7 hours straight, he said, "Doctor, I woke up and felt like I had been given back a gift I thought was gone forever." That gift is waiting for you too. It is not gone. It is not lost. It is simply waiting for you to claim it. So start tonight. Apply the ASIM method. Layer in the support techniques. Protect your sleep like it is the treasure it truly is. Because restful nights mean brighter days. And you deserve both.